The morning sky over Seoul turned dark at 9:47 a.m. It wasn't clouds or storms. Massive ships blocked the sun. They hung in the air like floating mountains made of metal and strange lights. Captain watched from his station high above Earth. His hands gripped the console as he counted the ships. 3,000, maybe more. The radio crackled with panicked voices from every country. People on the ground were screaming. Cars crashed as drivers looked up instead of ahead. Children pointed at the sky while their parents pulled them inside. Within minutes, every city on Earth fell into shadow. Had served in Earth's orbital defense for 15 years. He trained for war, trained for attacks from other nations, even trained for asteroid impacts. Nobody had trained for this. His second officer, a young woman named One, stared at her screen with wide eyes. "Captain, they're broadcasting something," she said. Her voice shook. The main screen flickered. A face appeared. It wasn't human. The creature had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern on its face. Its skin looked like blue-gray stone. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English, Chinese, Spanish, and every other Earth language at the same time. "I am Supreme Commander Eth of the Empire," the alien said. Its voice was deep and cold. "Your species is now property of the Empire. You have 72 hours to surrender all technology, all resources, and all military power. If you refuse, we will burn your world until nothing lives." The screen showed images of other planets, beautiful worlds with oceans and forests. Then the images changed. The same worlds appeared again, but now they were gray and dead. Craters covered the surface. Nothing moved, nothing grew. "We have conquered 14,000 civilizations in 5,000 years, Eth continued. "You are number 14,001. Comply and some of you will survive as workers. Resist and you will join the others." The broadcast ended. The alien face disappeared, stood in silence. Around him his crew looked at each other. Nobody spoke. What could they say? Down on Earth, people reacted in different ways. Some prayed. Some rioted. Some just sat quietly with their families and waited. The governments of every nation held emergency meetings. Presidents and prime ministers talked for hours, but nobody had an answer. How do you fight an empire that controls 40,000 star systems? Dr. Lee sat in an underground facility beneath Tokyo. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes. She'd barely slept in 30 years. Now she looked at a room full of screens and equipment. This was her life's work, Project Hyperion. The thing nobody talked about. The secret that might save Earth or might fail completely. "Send the activation codes to all stations," she said quietly. Her assistant looked surprised. "All of them, Doctor, if we activate everything they'll see it. They'll know what we've been building." "They're going to kill us anyway," said. "Send the codes. We have 48 hours to get ready." Across the solar system, things began to wake up. On Mars, hidden doors opened in the red dust. Near Jupiter, stations that looked like simple research posts suddenly came alive with power. In the asteroid belt, rocks that had floated in space for millions of years started to move into new positions. Nobody on Earth could see this happening, but Lee watched it all on her screens and allowed herself the smallest smile. Admiral Young commanded Earth's defense fleet from a bunker in Geneva. He was 70 years old and had fought in 3 wars between human nations. He'd always won. But this was different. His fleet had 23 battleships, 40 destroyers, and 100 smaller craft. Against 3,000 alien warships, it meant nothing. "Sir, we should evacuate the cities," his aide said. "If we're going to fight, we need to save as many people as possible." Young shook his head. "If we evacuate, they'll know we plan to fight. Right now they think we're helpless. Let them keep thinking that." "But sir—" I said no. The Admiral's voice was hard as iron. "We show weakness, we show fear, we make them believe they've already won." His aide didn't understand, but he nodded and left. Young looked at a classified file on his desk. It had one word on the cover, Hyperion. He'd known about the project for 20 years. Most of Earth's leaders knew. They'd all agreed to keep it secret, even from their own people. If humanity was going to survive first contact with aliens, they needed an advantage. They needed time to prepare. Humanity had detected the Empire 150 years ago. Radio signals from distant stars, traces of massive energy use, evidence of an expanding civilization that consumed everything in its path. Scientists calculated the Empire would reach Earth in 150 to 200 years, maybe longer, maybe never. The governments decided to prepare anyway. They built weapons in secret. They turned the entire solar system into a trap. They spent trillions of dollars and worked millions of people to the point of exhaustion, and they kept it all hidden. No FTL drives, no exploration, no expansion beyond the solar system, just weapons, just defense, just the hope that if the Empire came, humanity would be ready. Now the Empire was here. The weapons were ready, but so many people were about to die. Ambassador Park stood in the United Nations building in New York. She was young for an ambassador, only 45, but she'd been chosen for this role years ago. If first contact ever happened, she would speak for humanity. Now that moment had come, and she felt sick. "They're killing people on the lunar colony," someone said. The room went quiet. On the screens, they watched the alien fleet destroy humanity's mining base on the moon. 2,000 people worked there. 2,000 families on Earth would get terrible news. The aliens did it casually, like swatting a fly. The base exploded in silence. No sound in space, just light and debris. "When do we respond?" asked quietly. Admiral Young's face appeared on the screen from Geneva. 24 hours. We show them we're considering their offer. We show them we're scared. Then we give them the warning. "Will they listen?" asked. "No," Young said, "but we have to try. One warning, that's what we agreed. One chance for them to leave peacefully." Nodded, she thought about her daughter, safe in a bunker somewhere in Australia. She thought about all the children on Earth, all the people who didn't know that humanity had prepared for this day. She thought about the weapons hidden across the solar system, waiting for the signal. "One warning," she repeated, "then we show them what humans can do." The first day passed slowly. The alien ships didn't move. They just hung in the sky, dark and threatening. People on Earth waited. The clock counted down. 72 hours became 60, then 48, then 36. And in underground bunkers and secret facilities across Earth, engineers and scientists prepared to activate the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built. Weapons powered by the sun itself. Weapons that would either save Earth or doom it forever. The warning would be simple, the message would be clear, and Commander Eth would have one chance to listen. 24 hours had passed since the Empire delivered its ultimatum. Admiral Young stood in the shuttle bay, adjusting his dress uniform. It was old-fashioned, with medals and ribbons from wars fought between humans, wars that seemed small now, wars that seemed pointless compared to what was coming. "You don't have to do this yourself, sir," his aide said. "We can send a recording. We can transmit the message from here." "No," Young said. "If we're going to warn them, I'll do it face to face. They need to see that we're not afraid." The shuttle was small and unarmed. It flew up from Earth, through the atmosphere, past the orbital stations, and toward the massive alien flagship. The ship was enormous. It stretched for miles in every direction. Lights pulsed along its surface. Weapons that could destroy a planet pointed in every direction. The shuttle docked. Young walked alone down a corridor into the alien ship. Guards met him. They were tall, maybe 8 feet high, covered in armor that looked like black glass. They didn't speak. They just pointed their weapons and gestured for him to follow. Commander Eth waited in a vast room. The ceiling was so high that Young couldn't see it in the dim light. The alien commander sat on something like a throne. His 4 eyes studied the human admiral with what might have been amusement. "So the primitives send an old man to beg," Eth said. His voice echoed in the chamber. "This is your surrender." "No," Young said clearly. "This is your warning." The room fell silent. Other aliens were present, dozens of them, maybe hundreds in the shadows. Young could feel them watching. He could feel their surprise that a human would dare speak this way. "Warning," Ed leaned forward. "You warn us." "Yes," Young said. He took a small device from his pocket. It projected his message in the air, hovering in holographic letters that both species could read. "This is Admiral Young of Earth. We acknowledge your ultimatum. Before you proceed, we issue one caution: leave our system now. You have 48 hours. This is your only warning. There will be no second chance." For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then Eth began to laugh. It was a strange sound, like stones grinding together. Other aliens joined in. The laughter filled the huge room. "You have no weapons that can harm us," Eth said. "We have studied your world. Your largest bombs are toys. Your ships are slow. Your technology is primitive. And you warn us." He laughed harder. "This is the best joke I have heard in centuries." "It's not a joke," Young said quietly. "Leave now. You have 48 hours. "Or what?" Eth stood up. He was massive, towering over the human admiral. "Or you will die slowly instead of quickly. Or you will beg more. Tell me, primitive, what makes you think you can threaten the Empire?" Young met the alien's 4 eyes without flinching. "Because we mean what we say. 48 hours. Leave or face the consequences." He turned and walked out. Behind him, the laughter continued. It followed him down the corridor into the shuttle and back toward Earth. But Young's face showed nothing. No fear. No anger, just calm certainty. Back on the flagship, Ev's laughter faded. He looked at his officers. Did that actually happen? Did a human just threaten us? "Yes, Commander," one of them said. "What should we do?" "Broadcast it," Ev said. "Send the recording across the entire Empire. Let everyone see how foolish these primitives are. Let every world know what happens to those who threaten us." Within hours, the message spread across 40,000 star systems. Billions of aliens watched the small human admiral deliver his warning to the mighty Empire. Most laughed. Some felt pity for the doomed species. A few found it disturbing. Why would any species warn their executioners? On Earth, Captain received his orders. They came encrypted directly from Dr. Lee. "Evacuate all personnel from Fortress Prime and every orbital station," the message said. "Make it look like panic. Make it look like we're running. But get everyone to safety within 36 hours. Read it twice. He understood what it meant. The stations would be empty when the battle started. No humans in orbit. Everyone either deep underground on Earth or far away in the outer system. He began giving orders immediately. "We're abandoning the station," one asked. She looked confused. "Sir, that doesn't make sense if we're going to fight." "We're not abandoning anything," said. "We're following orders. Get everyone on the evacuation shuttles, now." Across Earth's orbital network, personnel scrambled to obey. They didn't understand, but they moved. Hundreds of shuttles launched, heading down to Earth or out toward Mars. Within 18 hours, every orbital station was empty. Of course they noticed. "They're evacuating," one of Eth's officers reported. "All orbital positions are being abandoned." "See," Eth said, "they realize how hopeless it is. They run like frightened animals. This makes our job easier. No orbital defenses to worry about." But one didn't laugh. Subcommander K was an intelligence officer. He'd studied thousands of species before they were conquered. Something about humanity bothered him. He watched the recordings of Admiral Young's warning again and again. "Why warn us at all?" he muttered to himself. "If they know they'll lose, why not surrender immediately? Why not beg? Why warn us?" He pulled up Earth's profile. No faster-than-light travel. No energy shields. No plasma weapons. They had nuclear bombs, but those were ancient technology. They had some decent ships, but nothing that could threaten a dreadnought. Yet they warned us, Kay thought. They didn't beg. They didn't negotiate, they warned us. Like they have something, like they know something we don't. He tried to share his concerns with other officers. They dismissed him. They were drunk on their own power, confident in their victory. 14,000 civilizations had fallen before them. Earth would be 14,001. On the moon, the ruins of the human colony still smoldered. Eth had ordered its destruction as a demonstration. 2,000 dead humans. He thought it would break their spirit. Instead, it seemed to make them more determined. Ambassador Park prepared her own message. It would broadcast across every frequency, aimed at the alien fleet and beyond. "People of the Empire," she said into the camera, "your leaders have threatened our world, they have killed our people, we gave them a warning, they laughed. In 48 hours you will see what happens when someone ignores humanity's warning. We do not threaten, we do not bluff, we warn once, only once. Your fleet has been cautioned. What happens next is their choice." The message went out. Across the Empire, billions heard it, most ignored it, some felt uneasy, a few began to wonder. Dr. Lee sat in her underground facility, watching status reports from across the solar system. Every weapon was in position. Every station was powered up and ready. The sun's energy was being channeled, focused, and aimed. It had taken 150 years to build this network. 150 years of secret work, hidden from the rest of humanity, hidden from the galaxy. "All systems are green," her assistant said. "We're ready." "Good," said. She looked at the countdown clock. 36 hours remained. They still have time to leave. "Do you think they will?" Shook her head. "No, they've never been told no before. They can't imagine anyone defeating them. That's why we'll win. They can't imagine it." Eth accelerated his timeline. He'd originally planned to wait the full 72 hours before attacking, but the human warning annoyed him. It felt disrespectful. He decided to attack in 36 hours instead of 48. That would show the primitives what their warning was worth. "Move the fleet into bombardment formation," he ordered. "Prepare all weapons. When the time comes, I want that planet reduced to ash within 1 hour." 3,000 ships began to move. They spread out across Earth's orbital space, positioning themselves for maximum destruction. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a continent. Together, they could crack a planet in half. People on Earth watched the sky. The ships were moving. Everyone knew what it meant. Parents held their children. Friends called each other. Some people accepted their fate. Others raged against it. A few smiled secretly, knowing what was coming. The countdown continued. 36 hours became 24, then 12, then 6. The fleet was ready. Earth was silent. And in the darkness of space, hidden among asteroids and moons, inside stations disguised as research posts, humanity's weapons waited for the signal. The last hour arrived. Across Earth, people held their breath. In bunkers and shelters, millions waited for the end. They'd been told to go underground. They'd been told to prepare. Nobody said why. Nobody explained that there might be hope. Commander Eth stood on his flagship's bridge, 4 eyes gleaming with anticipation. His fleet stretched across the darkness of space, 3,000 warships arranged in perfect formation, each one aimed at Earth, each one ready to fire. "All weapons charged, Commander," his tactical officer reported. "We await your order." "The deadline has passed," Eth said. He felt satisfied. The humans had been silent for the last 6 hours. No more warnings, no more brave speeches, just silence. They know they are beaten. They cower in their holes and wait for death. He raised one hand, ready to give the order to fire. Around him, officers leaned forward in excitement. This was always the best part, the moment when primitives realized their mistake, the moment when they understood the price of defiance. "Fire all," Eth began. Every screen on the bridge suddenly changed. The human admiral's face appeared. Young looked calm. He spoke 3 words. "You were warned." The transmission ended. For 2 seconds, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to explode with light. From every direction, beams of concentrated solar energy lanced toward the fleet. They came from the asteroid belt, from Mars, from Jupiter's moons, from Saturn's rings, from hidden stations scattered throughout the solar system. Thousands of weapons firing simultaneously. But these weren't lasers or missiles. These were focused streams of the sun's power, channeled through networks that humanity had built over 150 years. Each beam carried the energy of a solar flare, concentrated to a point smaller than a needle. The first ship vanished in 3.4 seconds, just gone, no explosion, no debris. The solar beam struck it and the ship turned to plasma. Atoms scattered into space, superheated beyond recognition. The second ship died the same way, and the third, and the fourth. Captain watched from his shuttle, far from the battle zone. His crew had evacuated to safety, but he'd stayed close enough to witness what happened. His screens showed the massacre in real time. "My God," one whispered beside him, "is this what we built?" 300 ships gone in the first 10 seconds, 600 in 20 seconds. The fleet tried to respond. They fired their weapons at empty space, at asteroids, at anything they thought might be attacking them. But there was nothing to hit. The weapons were built into rocks, into moon surfaces, into stations that looked like debris. And they all drew power from the sun itself. Eth screamed orders, but nobody could hear him. Alarms filled the bridge. Shields that had protected the fleet against every weapon in the galaxy did nothing against solar fire. Energy that powerful simply overwhelmed everything. "Retreat," Eth shouted. "All ships full retreat." Some tried. They activated their engines, attempting to flee the system. The solar beams followed them. Each ship had been locked onto by targeting systems years in the making. Computers tracked every vessel. The weapons adjusted their aim. No ship escaped. Subcommander K was aboard a cruiser 300 miles from the flagship. He watched ships dying on his screens. He'd been right. He tried to warn them. The humans had something. The humans had prepared. "Send a message," he said to his communications officer. "Tell the Empire what happened here. Tell them." The beam hit his ship. There was no pain. One instant he existed. The next he didn't. 1,200 ships gone in 60 seconds. 1,800 in 90 seconds. The remaining vessels bunched together, trying to find safety in numbers. It didn't help. The solar weapons fired faster now, working through the concentrated targets like a scythe through wheat. On Eth's flagship, the bridge was chaos. Officers ran in every direction. Some tried to fight. Others tried to flee. The commander himself stood frozen, all four eyes wide with something he'd never felt before. "Terror." "This is impossible," he said. "They're primitives, they have no technology, they can't." The beam struck. The flagship, largest ship in the fleet, pride of the Empire, lasted 4 seconds longer than the others. Then it too became superheated plasma, atoms scattering across space. Commander Eth died still, not understanding what had killed him. Dr. Lee watched her screens in the Tokyo facility. Rows of green lights showed each successful hit, each weapon functioning perfectly. 150 years of work, and it all came together in one perfect moment. "All targets eliminated," her assistant said. His voice shook. "The fleet is gone, all 3,000 ships. Total casualties estimated at 8 million. 8 million, let that number sink in. 8 million lives ended in less than 2 minutes. She felt sick, but she also felt relief. Earth survived. Humanity survived. "Any human casualties?" she asked. "None, zero. Everyone was evacuated in time." Closed her eyes. "Record everything, every moment, every shot. We need to send this to the Empire. They need to see what happened here." Captain's shuttle moved closer to where the fleet had been. Debris floated in space. Small pieces. Nothing recognizable. Nothing you could point to and say that was a ship. just clouds of atoms still glowing with residual heat. "How long did it take?" he asked quietly. One checked her records. From first shot to last, 8 seconds. 8 seconds. 3,000 warships destroyed in 8 seconds. Had been a military man his whole life. He'd studied warfare. He'd read about every battle in human history. Nothing compared to this. Nothing even came close. "They never had a chance," one said. "No," agreed, "that was the point." On Earth, the sun emerged from behind the alien ships. For the first time in 2 days, people could see the sky. The massive vessels were gone, all of them, just gone. At first, people didn't understand. They came out of their shelters and bunkers, squinting in the sudden light. They looked up, expecting to see the enemy fleet. But the sky was empty, clear, blue. Confusion spread. Then information came. Emergency broadcasts on every channel, images from orbit, footage of the battle, if you could call it that. 8 seconds. 8 seconds and humanity had destroyed an entire alien fleet. The reaction was mixed. Some people celebrated. They danced in the streets, crying with relief. Others sat in silence, trying to process what they'd seen. Some were horrified at the death toll. 8 million lives. But everyone understood one thing. Humanity had been hiding its true power for a very long time. Admiral Young stood in his bunker, watching the same footage. He looked older than he had 2 days ago. The weight of command showed on his face. "Was there another way?" his aide asked quietly. "We warned them," Young said. "We gave them a chance. They chose to ignore it." 8 million dead. "Yes," Young said, "but 7 billion humans alive. That was the trade. Would you have made it differently?" The aide had no answer. Ambassador Park prepared her second broadcast. This one would go farther than Earth's solar system. This one would reach across the galaxy, carried by quantum signals and old-fashioned radio waves. It would take time to reach the Empire, but it would get there. "People of the Empire," she said into the camera, "your fleet came to our world, you threatened us. You killed our people on the moon. We warned you once. We told you to leave. You laughed at us. Now you know the cost." She paused, letting that sink in. "We are humanity. We do not bluff. We do not make empty threats. We warn once and only once. Your fleet is destroyed, every ship, every soldier. They died because their commander ignored our warning." Behind her, the footage played. 8 seconds of destruction. 3,000 ships becoming nothing. "We did not want this war. We did not seek conflict, but we were prepared for it. We have been preparing for 150 years. Since the day we detected your empire expanding through the galaxy, we knew you would eventually reach us. So we prepared. We built weapons. We turned our solar system into a fortress. And we waited." Her voice hardened. "Do not make the same mistake your fleet made. If you come to our system with war, we will warn you once. If you ignore that warning, you will join the others. We have enough power to destroy 200,000 ships. Your fleet was only 3,000. Do the math." She leaned closer to the camera. "Leave us alone. We don't want your territory. We don't want to join your empire. We just want peace. But if you force us to fight, know this, we will win. And we only warn once." The broadcast ended. It began its journey across the stars, carrying humanity's message to 40,000 worlds. In the darkness of space, the solar weapons slowly powered down. They would remain ready. They would remain hidden. But for now, the threat was gone. Earth had been tested. Earth had been threatened. And Earth had shown the galaxy what humans could do when pushed too far. The message reached Prime 17 days later. The empires orbited a red giant star, ancient and swollen. Cities covered 3 continents. Billions of lived there, secure in their power, confident in their dominance. Emperor El sat on his throne when the report arrived. He was old, even by standards. He'd ruled for 800 years and conquered 2,000 star systems personally. Nothing surprised him anymore. Nothing frightened him. Until now. "Say that again," he commanded. His voice was quiet, dangerous quiet. The messenger trembled. "Commander Eth's fleet was destroyed, Your Majesty. All 3,000 ships. No survivors. Total casualties. 8.4 million personnel." Silence filled the throne room. Advisors and guards stood frozen. This was impossible. The Empire didn't lose fleets. Individual ships might be damaged in battle. A few vessels might be destroyed. But entire fleets, never. "Show me," El said. The footage played on massive screens. 8 seconds. 3,000 ships reduced to nothing. Solar beams cutting through armor that had resisted every weapon in the galaxy. The mighty fleet, pride of the Empire, simply erased from existence. "How?" El whispered. "They weaponized their star, Majesty," the messenger said. "Our intelligence analysts believe they've been building the system for over a century. The entire solar system is one massive weapon network. Every asteroid, every moon, every space station serves a defensive purpose." An admiral stepped forward and was the Empire's highest military officer. He'd commanded the conquest of 600 worlds. "This changes everything," and said. "If they can channel stellar energy like this, no fleet can defeat them. Our shields, our armor, nothing can withstand that level of power. To duplicate what they've built would take resources we don't have." "Then we build bigger fleets," another admiral said. "Send 30,000 ships, 100,000, overwhelm them with numbers." "Did you watch the footage?" and asked coldly. "They destroyed 3,000 ships in 8 seconds. They claimed they could destroy 200,000. Based on the energy readings, I believe them. We could send every ship in the Empire and still lose." The throne room erupted in arguments. Some wanted immediate retaliation. Others urged caution. A few suggested diplomacy, though that word hadn't been used in the Empire for centuries. El raised one hand. Everyone fell silent. "How long have they had this technology?" he asked. "At least 150 years, Majesty, possibly longer. And in that time they never left their system, never expanded, never explored." "No, Majesty, they stayed home and built weapons." The Emperor considered this. It was alien thinking. Literally. Every species they had encountered followed the same pattern: discover space travel, explore, expand, build an empire. That's what intelligent species did. But humans hadn't done that. They'd stayed in one system and prepared to defend it. "They're not conquerors," El said slowly. "They're defenders, fortress builders." "That's correct, Majesty," and agreed. "They had the technology to build faster-than-light drives. We found their research. They chose not to. Every resource went into defense. Every breakthrough went into better weapons. They prepared for one thing only: our arrival." That was the most disturbing part. Humanity had known the Empire was coming. Somehow, they detected them from hundreds of light years away, and instead of running or hiding, they'd spent a century and a half getting ready to fight. "Recall all fleets near their territory," El ordered. "Establish a 50-light-year exclusion zone around their system. No ship goes near it without my direct permission." "Majesty, that's surrender," one admiral protested. "That's survival," El snapped. "We've lost 8 million soldiers. I won't lose 8 million more to prove a point." Ambassador Park's message played across the Empire. 40,000 star systems received it. Trillions of beings watched the footage. The reactions varied by species and culture, but the message was clear. Humanity would defend itself, and they were very good at it. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. People came out of their shelters. Cities turned their lights back on. Children went to school, but everything felt different now. Everyone knew the truth about what humanity had built. Dr. Lee gave a closed-door briefing to Earth's leaders. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and scientists gathered in a secure location. She stood before them, small and tired, and told them everything. "Project Hyperion began in 2097, she said. We detected the Empire expanding toward us. Our best calculations said they'd reach Earth between 2200 and 2300. We had a choice, run or prepare. We chose to prepare. She brought up images, design schematics, construction records, 150 years of secret work. Every breakthrough in energy research went into the weapons. Every discovery in materials science made the collectors stronger. We told the public we were building research stations, mining facilities, scientific outposts, but we were really building the largest defensive network ever created. How many people knew? Someone asked. At its peak, 2 million people working directly on the project, maybe 5 million who suspected the truth. The rest of humanity had no idea. That's a massive secret to keep, a president said. Yes, agreed, but necessary. If the Empire had known what we were building, they might have attacked sooner or in greater force. Surprise was our only advantage. What now? Another leader asked. Do we keep building, expand the network? Shook her head. We don't need to. What we have is sufficient to defend against any foreseeable threat. Each weapon can fire continuously for hours before needing maintenance. We could fight off fleets 10 times the size of what we just destroyed. Then what do we do? We wait, said. We see how the Empire responds, and we prepare for the next step. That next step came 3 weeks later. A single ship approached Earth's system. It was small, unarmed, and broadcasting diplomatic codes on every frequency. Captain Station detected it first. He immediately reported to Admiral Young. Should we destroy it, sir? Asked. No, Young said. Let it approach, but watch it carefully. The ship stopped at the edge of the solar system, far from Earth, far from the weapons. A message came through. This is Ambassador of the Empire. I request peaceful negotiations with the government of Earth. I am authorized to offer formal recognition of your sovereignty and discuss terms of non-aggression. Ambassador Park took the call. She appeared on screen in a simple suit, her face calm. Ambassador, she said, why should we negotiate? Your fleet threatened to destroy our world. Yes, said. He looked old for his stone-like skin cracked with age. And you warned us. We didn't listen. That was our mistake. Emperor L wishes to acknowledge that mistake and move forward peacefully. Move forward how? We propose a 50 light-year exclusion zone around your system. No ship will enter it without your permission. In exchange, you agree not to expand beyond your system or interfere in Empire affairs. Considered this, you want us to stay home. We want to coexist, said. You've proven you can defend your territory. We respect that. But we need assurance you won't use those weapons offensively. We won't, said, unless you give us reason to. The negotiations took 3 days. In the end, both sides agreed. The Empire would leave Earth alone. Earth would remain in its system. A neutral zone would exist between them. But word had spread. Other civilizations heard about Earth's victory. Small empires, independent worlds, species that lived in fear of the. They began sending their own messages to Earth. Help us, one message said. It came from a world called a peaceful species that the Empire had threatened. If you can defeat them, can you protect us? More messages came, dozens, then hundreds, species across the galaxy asking for protection, for alliance, for hope. Admiral Young called an emergency meeting. Earth's leaders gathered once again. We have a choice, he said. We can stay isolated, keep our weapons for ourselves, ignore the galaxy, or we can become something else, something more. What are you suggesting? A prime minister asked. I'm suggesting we extend our warning system, Young said. We tell the Empire, leave Earth alone, leave our allies alone, or face the consequences. That's a big step, someone said. That makes us players in galactic politics. We already are, Young said. The moment we destroyed that fleet, we became players. Now we decide what kind of player we want to be. The debate lasted for hours. Some wanted isolation. Some wanted to help. Everyone understood that whatever they chose would shape humanity's role in the galaxy for generations. Finally, Ambassador Park spoke. "We warned the Empire once," she said. "They learned. Now we extend that principle. Anyone who threatens the innocent gets one warning, just one. If they don't listen," she paused, "we defend those who cannot defend themselves." The vote was close, but it passed. Earth would remain home, but Earth would also be a protector, not an empire, not a conqueror, a defender. And the galaxy would learn a new rule. If humanity warns you, listen. 3 months passed. The galaxy had changed. Word of Earth's victory spread faster than light itself, carried by traders and travelers, whispered in markets and broadcast on news networks. Humanity, the species nobody had heard of, had destroyed a fleet in 8 seconds. Captain stood on the bridge of Fortress Prime, now fully operational again. The station floated above Earth, watching, waiting. His crew had returned. Life had resumed, but nothing felt the same as before. "Captain, we're receiving another request," one said. "This one's from a species called the... They're asking for protection from the Empire." "How many is that this week?" asked. 14. 14 species asking for help. 14 worlds that had seen what Earth could do and hoped humanity would defend them too. Each request was the same. The Empire threatened them, and they had no way to fight back. "Forward it to Ambassador Park," said. "She handles diplomatic issues." Down on Earth, Park sat in her office in Geneva. Her desk was covered with messages, requests for help, offers of alliance, trade proposals, marriage offers. Surprisingly, she'd become the most famous human in the galaxy without meaning to. A call came through. She accepted it and a face appeared on her screen. Not human. This one looked almost insect-like, with multiple eyes and mandibles. "Ambassador Park," the alien said. Its translator made the words sound crisp and formal. "I am speaker of the cluster. We need your help." "Tell me what's happening," said. "The Empire has demanded we surrender 3 of our colony worlds. They claim the worlds are in their expansion zone. If we refuse, they'll send a fleet. We have no military. We're scientists, explorers. We can't fight them." Felt tired. She'd heard variations of this story so many times now. The Empire pushed. Smaller species bent. That's how it had always worked. "What do you want from us?" she asked. "Your protection," said. "We've seen what you can do. If you tell the Empire to leave us alone, they'll listen. Won't they?" Would they? Wasn't sure. Earth had proven it could defend itself, but defending others, that was different. That meant getting involved in galactic politics. That meant making enemies. "I'll discuss this with my government," said. "No promises." The call ended. Rubbed her eyes. She'd slept maybe 4 hours in the last 2 days. Every species in the galaxy seemed to want Earth's help. Dr. Lee had retired from Project Hyperion after the battle. She'd spent 30 years of her life building weapons. Now she wanted rest, but they called her back for one final briefing. "We need to know our capabilities," Admiral Young said. They sat in a secure room beneath Sol. "If we're going to protect other species, we need to understand our limitations." Pulled up displays, technical readouts, energy measurements, the truth about what humanity had built. "Project Hyperion was designed to defend Earth," she said. "The weapons can target anything within the solar system, but beyond that," she shook her head. "We'd need to build new networks. It took us 150 years to build this one. We don't have that kind of time." "So we can't help them," someone said. "Not directly," said, "but we can warn their enemies, and warnings seem to work." That became Earth's strategy. When a species requested help, Earth investigated. If the threat was real, if the species was innocent, Earth sent a warning to the aggressor. The warnings were always the same. Simple, direct. "Leave them alone. This is your only warning. There will be no second chance." At first, some aggressors ignored the warnings. A small empire called the Dominion threatened a peaceful species called the Earth warned them. They laughed and sent a fleet anyway. Earth sent Ambassador Park's response across every frequency. The Dominion was warned. They chose to ignore it. This is what happens next. Earth didn't send ships. Earth didn't have faster-than-light travel. But Earth had been recording every moment of the battle against the. They had footage. They had data. They had evidence of what solar weapons could do. They released it all. Every angle, every detail, technical specifications, energy readings, proof that humanity could channel a star's power across millions of miles with pinpoint accuracy. The message was clear. Earth couldn't reach the home system directly, but if they came to human territory, if they stepped into Earth's range, they would die like they did. The fleet turned around. They left the alone. Earth's warning had worked. More tests came. Aggressive species, empires drunk on power, warlords who thought they were untouchable. 17 different civilizations tested Earth's resolve over the next 3 months. 16 ignored the warnings. 16 sent fleets or armies against the species Earth had promised to protect. Earth couldn't stop them directly. Earth's weapons couldn't reach across the galaxy, but Earth could make a promise. Come near us and you die. Harm our allies and someday, somehow, we'll find a way to make you pay. Most aggressors backed down. The threat was enough. But 3 civilizations pushed forward anyway. They attacked Earth's protectorates, confident that humanity couldn't reach them. They were right, Earth couldn't reach them, not yet. But Emperor L could. The Empire had watched everything. They'd seen Earth become a defender of the weak. They'd seen humanity draw lines and make promises, and L saw an opportunity. These aggressive species threaten stability, he told his council. They ignore warnings, they cause chaos. Perhaps we should assist our new neighbors. It was purely practical, he claimed. If small empires kept causing trouble, it affected trade routes and borders. Better to maintain peace. But everyone knew the real reason. The Empire feared Earth. If they could be Earth's ally, Earth's friend, maybe humanity would never point those terrible weapons at Prime. So when 3 civilizations attacked Earth's protectorates, fleets responded. Not to conquer, not to expand, to defend. The Empire crushed the aggressors quickly and efficiently. Emperor L sent a message to Earth afterward. We understand your position. You wish to defend the innocent. We can help. We have ships that can reach anywhere in the galaxy. You have weapons that can destroy anything. Together, we can maintain peace. It was the strangest alliance ever formed. The empire that had threatened Earth now worked with Earth to protect others. Neither side trusted the other, but both sides understood the benefits. Captain watched it all unfold from his orbital station. 3 months ago, humanity had been alone, isolated, unknown. Now Earth was at the center of galactic politics. Strange how things change, one said, standing beside him at the window. Below them, Earth turned slowly, blue and green and beautiful. We haven't changed, said. We're still defenders, still protectors. We just have a bigger territory to protect now. On Earth, children learned about the Battle of Earth in school. 8 seconds that changed the galaxy. They learned about Admiral Young's warning. They learned about Dr. Lee's weapons. They learned that sometimes the strongest response is the one you never have to use. Ambassador Park stood before the United Earth Assembly. Representatives from every nation sat before her. She'd been asked to explain humanity's new role in the galaxy. We didn't seek this, she said. We didn't want to be protectors. We just wanted to be left alone. But we have power, and power comes with responsibility. Some say we should mind our own business, a representative said. Let the galaxy solve its own problems. We could do that, agreed. We could hide behind our weapons and ignore everyone else. But is that who we want to be? Is that what humanity stands for? What do we stand for? Someone asked. Thought about that. About Admiral Young standing alone on an alien flagship, delivering a warning. About Dr. Lee spending 30 years building weapons she hoped would never be used. About Captain evacuating his station to save every life, even though it meant abandoning his post. "We stand for giving one chance," she said. "One warning, one opportunity to choose peace. After that, we defend those who can't defend themselves. That's who we are now. That's who we've become." The vote was unanimous. Earth would continue its new role, not as conquerors, not as an empire, as defenders, as the species that warned once and meant it. Years passed. The galaxy entered what historians would call the Long Peace. Not because war ended, war never ends, but because aggressors thought twice before attacking, because everyone knew about Earth's warning system, because nobody wanted to be the next species that ignored humanity's caution. The Empire never expanded again. They maintained their 40,000 systems but took no new ones. They'd learned that some species couldn't be conquered. 17 aggressive civilizations tested Earth's warnings in the first decade. Only one survived. The Republic received Earth's warning and actually listened. Their fleet. They negotiated peace. They still existed, a reminder that heeding Earth's caution meant survival. The other 16 were destroyed, not always by Earth directly, sometimes by the Empire, sometimes by coalitions of species Earth had protected, but always the pattern was the same. Earth warned once. If you listened, you survived. If you didn't, you vanished. Captain eventually retired. He'd served humanity for 40 years, watched Earth change from an isolated world to a galactic power. On his last day, he stood at the window of Fortress Prime and looked down at Earth. "Did we do the right thing?" one asked. She was a captain now, taking over his command. "We gave them chances," said. "Every aggressor, every empire, every warlord, we warned them. That's more than the galaxy used to offer. That's more than most species received. So yes, we did the right thing." Dr. Lee died at age 97. Her funeral was attended by representatives from 600 species. They came to honor the woman who built humanity's defense, the woman who made it possible for Earth to stand against an empire. At her funeral, Park spoke. "Dr. Lee spent her life preparing for war," said, "but what she really gave us was peace. Because the weapons she built were so terrible, nobody wanted to fight us. Because we could warn people, they chose not to fight at all. She built weapons of war that created peace. That's her legacy." Admiral Young lived to be 92. He saw Earth's influence spread across the galaxy. He saw the long peace take hold. He saw humanity become what he'd always hoped it would be, strong enough to defend, wise enough to warn first. On his deathbed, someone asked him if he regretted destroying the fleet. 8 million lives. "Every day," he said, "but I'd do it again, because the alternative was 7 billion human deaths. Sometimes there are no good choices, only necessary ones." Ambassador Park served for 30 years. She delivered warnings to 100 aggressive species. She helped form alliances with 200 peaceful ones. She turned Earth from an unknown world into the galaxy's conscience. When she finally retired, she was asked what she was most proud of. "The warnings," she said without hesitation. "Not the battles, not the victories, the warnings, because every warning we gave was a chance for peace. Most didn't take it, but we gave them the chance. That's what matters." Earth never left its solar system. Humanity never built faster-than-light ships. They stayed home and maintained their fortress, but their influence reached across the galaxy. Because everyone knew the rule, everyone understood the principle. If humanity warns you, you have one chance, just one. After that, there are no second chances, no negotiations, no mercy. The galaxy called it the human doctrine. One warning, one chance, one opportunity to choose peace over war. And slowly, carefully, species began to listen. Empires thought before expanding. Warlords considered before attacking. The strong thought twice before threatening the weak because the weak might have Earth's protection. It wasn't perfect. War still happened, aggression still existed, but it was better. The galaxy was better. And Earth remained home. Defender, protector, the species that warned once and meant it.